Welcome back to the Cheap Heat Productions podcast. Okay, welcome back to the show. And today on the show, I've got another great guest, Miss Lisa Wilcox, that most of you will probably know from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 and Part 5, but she's done a hell of a lot in the TV and the movie industry. Well over 100 shows, I believe. So great to have you on the show today, Lisa.
Oh, thank you. Hello, Ireland.
Yeah, is this your first Irish podcast?
It is.
Okay,
It
I always
is.
ask people
I
that, and
love
most.
Ireland. I've been there a couple times. In fact, my college boyfriend was Irish, and his parents were from Ireland. And we visited family in Ireland and did a whole European trip. So
Oh, very nice. A
it
lot of
is.
people I talk to in America, they always have some Irish connections, you know.
And I'm part Irish too. Irish, British, and American Indian. Go figure.
That's a lot going on there.
Yeah. And Scottish.
So
A lot of Scottish.
we love Scotland here in Ireland too. Us and
Which I've
Scotland
never
are
been
good
to
friends.
yet. I haven't been to Scotland yet.
Yeah, you
Anyway,
need to go. You need to go there, maybe to Glasgow. It's a good place in
next
Scotland.
next trip, next European trip, it's for sure, and Spain.
Yeah, I suppose like we'll start off. How did you get involved, and when did you know you wanted to get into acting?
Oh my. Well, a couple things happened. One is I'm from Missouri. I'm from the Midwest, and I did a play before my dad got a great job in California, so we moved from Missouri to California. But while I was still in Missouri, I did a play. Do you know the TV show MASH?
Yes.
Okay, well, believe it or not, it was a Broadway play.
Okay.
And so, anyway, I didn't do the Broadway play. I was in ninth grade. I was, 13, 14 years old. And I had a little role in it called, my role was Ms. Randazzle. So just picture what a Ms. Randazzle would be. Basically, I'm a secretary, pencil skirt, red lipstick, and I had two scenes, and I have my boss who's at his desk. And we did this scene in front of the curtain while they were doing big set changes behind the curtain. So I come strutting out to do our little comedy scene, and I'm strutting along in my high heels, and one of the footlights was not locked. The
Okay.
footlights are something that can go up or down. Anyway, they're supposed to be down and locked. Well, one of them wasn't. I'm literally center stage. My foot and my lovely strappy high heels go down with it, and I'm literally stuck
Yeah.
center stage. Now, the audience had no idea. They thought this was part of the act because, mind you, I'm now, my pencil and my steno pad have gone flying, and I am in this precarious position center stage. So it was kind of funny because the guy who was playing my boss, I don't remember his name, but he started like sort of an improv thing going, well, you had a little too much to drink there, Ms. Randazzle, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, behind the curtain, they finally realized something was amiss. And the guy who's playing Hawkeye literally opens the curtain, sticks his head out. He saves me, the hair, saves me from the footlight, put my shoe back on, whatever, and proceed to do the scene. So that was my first experience in acting. Now, I
Wow.
decided acting wasn't for me.
Okay.
We moved
After
to
that.
California. So I make some new friends. We're in Southern California, and friends said, oh, I have an audition at Buddy Ebsen's theater in Newport Beach. You want to come with me? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? So I go with him, and I'm literally just sitting in the audience watching the auditions, and my shoulder's getting tapped. The producer of this play, and she's like, you're auditioning, right? I'm like, oh, no. I decided I was going to go into the medical field. I have
Okay.
doctors, nurses, in my family. Anyway, she was very persistent, continued to tap my shoulder. I finally said, okay, I went up and auditioned for this play, and I got the lead role in Lanford Wilson's The Hot L Baltimore. And that's when I knew this is what I had to do for the rest of my life.
And did your friend that you went with get the role as well?
What's that?
No. You went?
He
No.
didn't. He didn't, but at least we were competing for the same role,
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was from there that I did play after play. And mind you, I'm still going to high school full time, but I did Equity Waiver. I did a couple high school plays, but all my theater was Equity Waiver outside of high school. And then I went on to UCLA and got a theater arts degree.
Yeah. So you were working predominantly in TV before the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Do you want to tell us about your experience in working in television?
Well, my first big job was just about 6 weeks after I graduated from college, and on a soap opera, General Hospital.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, and so many of my actor friends, it is the best training ground in the world for TV, because you get one take, you've got to have your lines down, and they are like next scene, next scene, next scene. I mean, it is brutal. You really have to be on top of your game to do soap operas. So I feel very fortunate I had that experience. I also did Young and the Restless too. So that was kind of my introduction to TV. And then I did episodic. Hardcastle McCormick was one of my first jobs. And TV movies and tons of sitcoms, other episodic stuff. I got to meet some amazing actors. And anyway, my favorite thing is, I have to say, sitcoms, because it's very proper in the sense that you have all week to rehearse. You do what the writers and producers have provided for you. Then you do a run through for them at the end of the day with network there, ABC, CBS, whatever studio I'm working for. And then they do rewrites to the script, and then you memorize it next day, rehearse. And then on a Friday, so it's all week, regular hours, 9 to 5. And then on Friday, it's showtime, and that's when you get the live audience experience. And we would do two run-throughs for the audience. And to me, that was like doing theater, because that's still my favorite venue.
Yeah. What's harder to work in? Would it be TV and movies? Would you say it's TV because there can be rewrites, and movies you're kind of going in and you know exactly what you're doing?
I think episodic is the hardest, which is basically an hour-long show, and it's basically a little mini movie, an hour-long show, and because you're going to locations, you have really long hours, and the actors that were regulars on the series, they're having to memorize lines for the episode that we're doing now, but they're having to work on lines for the next episode. I mean, it's really brutal. So I think episodic TV is harder than film, actually. Because film, you have more time, and that's my experience.
Yeah. Which is more enjoyable? Do you prefer working in high pressure situations or?
No, I loved episodic. In fact, I got to work with George Clooney before he became George Clooney as we know him now, on a little show called, what was the name of it? Anyway, he's an actor, for instance, who literally had to have notes in his hand, because episodic actors are amazing. I prefer film because it's more time to focus on my character and the relationships with those in the film. It's kind of like a drawn out play. In my opinion.
And obviously you don't do any podcasts without being asked about Nightmare on Elm Street, so we're going to touch on it. But what I want to know is, how did you get the role, and how did you audition for it? How did you hear about it?
Well, fortunately through UCLA, and I did theater work there, I got an agent and a manager, which was fantastic. And so they submitted me, they're the ones who submit us actors for jobs. It comes out on the breakdowns, they call it, and they submit their list of actors for whoever they think is appropriate. The interesting thing is, my manager, Michael Wallach, said, well, I submitted you for Nightmare on Elm Street. And I'm like, really? Oh my gosh. Because you have to understand, I've been a fan of horror since I was little, big fan of Nightmare on Elm Street and all that. So, but then he said, well, they're not going to audition you because you have to understand, I had virgin platinum blonde hair. I had all the Barbizon makeup. I looked like a cheerleader, you know, that, and in fact, you know, or beauty queen. In fact, that was one of my first guest star roles with Hardcastle McCormick. I played a beauty queen. So not at all what they pictured for the role of Alice, you know, and I don't blame them, of course. So anyway, I was put into the reject pile. Fortunately, Annette Benson, who cast the Nightmare on Elm Street series up through number 5, told me that they had auditioned hundreds of actresses for the role of Alice, and they couldn't
Wow.
find their Alice. So finally, they went through their reject pile. Hi. And finally got the opportunity to audition. And I went in with, you know, no makeup, dirty hair. I wore my worst color, which is pale yellow. Um, you know, I loved the script. I totally related to Alice very much as a kid growing up. Um, and I got the role.
Wow. And did you ever think that a series like that, and I said it to Lara on the podcast as well about Friday the 13th, do you ever think that this would have as much longevity and still hold up in the modern era?
No,
Yeah.
none of us did. Nightmare on Elm Street, with Dream Warriors, the third one, you know, had major box office success, and you know, Nightmare on Elm Street had definitely made a mark, you know, in the world, you know,
Yeah.
and the Nightmare 4 also, you know, very successful. We were like number 1 for 6 weeks that summer, kind of unheard of for a horror film, you know,
Yeah.
and but now we still, when we do conventions and we get to go all over the world, you know, and meet lovers of horror, and we still look at each other going, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I think what's great about Nightmare on Elm Street is that, or all, you know, the whole horror genre in general, is that families like bond over it. You know, it's a weekend thing. It's a Saturday night thing they do. And after, you know, a few decades now, literally there'll be grandma who saw Nightmare on Elm Street in the theater, then her daughter, and then the granddaughter. You know, it's like 3 generations, and they, you know, bond over horror stuff. It's great.
My 2-year-old was in my room recently, and I was watching
Who's that?
Chucky. My little boy, my 2-year-old, and I was
Oh,
watching it, and I was watching clips on YouTube, and one of the clips came up from the Chucky movie, Child's Play 2,
yeah.
and he just sat down and he watched it, and it was a scene where Chucky was running after the little boy to try and possess him, and then
Yeah.
the little boy chops off his hand, and he's just sitting there and he's just laughing at it. And now he wanted me to play it again. You know, he pointed up at it, play it again. And he watches Chucky now and he laughs at it. And then a couple of weeks back, I've got an outfit that I had for Halloween, a Chucky outfit. And he found it in my wardrobe. And now he makes me, when he comes into my room, put on the mask, put
Oh
on
my
the
God, I
outfit.
love it.
Yeah,
Oh my God,
yeah,
that is so fun. That is so fun. It's,
yeah,
you know, it's interesting because I feel like in particular 80s horror is, it is funny. I mean,
yeah,
it
yeah.
is entertaining. I mean, it just is. You know, Nightmare 4, The Dream Master too, I feel like really, and it's been called like a really good date movie because
Hmm.
it's not bloody, but it's very intelligent and has great one-liners that Freddie
Yeah.
says, you know, great kills, you know, but it's not blood and guts, you know. It's
Yeah.
intelligent, it's clever.
It's got a nice balance with the comedy to kind of horror
Yeah.
ratio, because that kind of gets forgotten about, I think, in the modern era. I think some of the
Yeah.
films try to be too funny, and then they're not genuinely scary then because there's too much comedy in it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
So you're simply entertained, you know.
yeah, yeah. Did you have any idea that you'd be in the fifth film, like, as well?
No, not at the time. No, that was not negotiated when I did Nightmare 4. Um, you know, I due probably to the phenomenal success of Nightmare 4, they thought, okay, let's continue Alice, you know, because typically they're, other than Heather Langenkamp, who does reoccur. I mean, she gets killed in Nightmare 3,
Yeah,
but each story, each Nightmare on Elm Street is stands on its own, you know, so like a separate story from each other, you know.
hmm,
So it's pretty cool. They wanted to do a fifth one with my character. You know, I mean, Nightmare 5 is a completely different tone and texture than Nightmare 4. I like to call Nightmare 5 a brave little film because it dealt with so many subject matters that were very taboo. We have sex before marriage. We have teen pregnancy. We have contemplating abortion. And then let's go on to Greta's character. Oh, we have anorexia and bulimia. I mean, you know, it's a hardcore film that deals with some very pressing social issues at the time. And think of 1989, it was taboo, you know. Nowadays, and it's interesting, I've noticed in the past couple of years that Nightmare 5 is actually some of people's favorite one, you know. And nowadays we can handle these taboo subject matters.
Subjects,
you know, it's not so scary to us.
Which is your favorite, 4 or 5, or is that a fair question?
Do you know that movie Sophie's Choice, and Meryl Streep's character has to decide between which child is going to live in the concentration camp? Okay, so that's a tough call. It's really tough to answer that. But I will say 4 because it is the beginning of Alice's development and her character arc. You know, she goes from so shy and timid daydreamer to, you know, kicks butt kind of character, right?
Yeah.
So,
what is Robert Englund like to work with?
Oh, he's great. He's like Uncle Robert to me.
Yeah.
We really are like family. He's, you know, because at the time when I first met him for Nightmare 4, and I was so nervous the day before. Oh my gosh! I'm like, oh my god, I'm working with Robert Englund. He already had some, you know, fame and success for sure, and we were, you know, just kind of beginning our careers essentially. But nope, he's modest. He's incredibly intelligent. He has amazing stories. If you just sit and listen to Robert Englund for like 15 minutes, you'll feel like you just got a degree at Harvard. Okay, he's and not just about theater and film, but architecture and history, and you know, he's a blast.
Yeah, I sent him an email. I hope he gets back to me to come on the show. He's a dream guest, no pun intended. Do you have any opinions on modern horror these days, or is it something you keep in touch of? Because personally, for me, I think the films in the 80s, like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Child's Play, things like that, and Halloween, they still hold up to these days, and you can still watch them. But now, I'm just not feeling horror these days. Is it something that you're still interested in and keep a keen eye on?
I do. You know, I watch The Conjuring. I watch, you know, I still maintain a connection with horror. But I think I'm more old school too. You know, like even the black and white. You know, I developed my love for horror literally on Saturdays was cartoon day. So my sister and I would be in our pajamas. You know, mom's made waffles. It's great. We're watching our cartoons. Then the show The Monkees would come on around noon. And then after The Monkees, it would be all old school horror stuff. You know, Frankenstein and the Dracula movies and Twilight Zone and black and white stuff. And that's when I developed my love for horror, I think. You know, it was more theatrical too. The acting style and this and that. So
and it was more gritty.
But I still try to keep up on, you know, current horror too.
Yeah. You worked with Will Ferrell, I seen on Men Seeking Women. Did you get to interact much with him on that show, and what does he like?
Oh, he's great. We have a scene together where I'm seducing him.
Okay, I haven't seen that movie, but
you gotta see it. You gotta see it. And this is just before Will Ferrell become who we know as Will Ferrell today. You know, it was like I think it was one of his first movies actually. But he was darling, and in fact, while we were, you know, you chat on the set and whatnot, turns out we went to the same high school in Irvine.
Wow.
In Southern California. He was
and
2
you didn't
years
know each
behind
other.
Me.
And you guys didn't know each other?
No.
That's crazy.
But the same drama teacher.
Wow. So that she or he has done a great job anyway.
Oh my, what's that?
I said she or he, whoever your drama teacher is, has done a great job.
Well, I'll let Mr. Trevino know.
Yeah. Still
He's
call him
been
Mr.
there for
Trevino.
like 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great
And
guy.
yeah. I seen as well that you're in Star Trek Generation, and that's another huge kind of franchise, kind of like Nightmare on Elm Street. Does that make you proud to be involved in two huge projects like that?
Yes, I know. I like crossed over sci-fi and horror. Oh my God. Oh my God. Blow your mind.
Yeah.
But basically it's really like our agents and managers submit us for jobs and the casting director says, yes, I want this person to audition. I'll never forget that audition. It's at, it filmed at Paramount Studios, which is my favorite studio in the whole world. It's just absolutely gorgeous. If you ever come to Los Angeles, you've got to drive down Melrose and to see those huge gates. I mean, so much history there, and they have green lawns and these old historical buildings. And gives me goosebumps about all the the famous people that have crossed those gates and walked on those lawns. But yeah, I mean, the hallway was packed with us gals, going in one by one, some are staring each other down. Some are, oh, it's been so long. How did you get that audition? Did you get that part? Oh, I didn't, or I did, whatever, it's a very interesting energy that goes on in those hallways. And then think of, you got to go in and meet network and casting director and the director who this episode. And, it's quite nerve wracking, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But I completely just knew the character I played was Yuta. And then when I read the material, I just like, oh, I totally get this character. And I get killed, falling in love. Jonathan Frakes and I were falling in love, but he has to kill me in the end. And they don't kill very often on Star Trek. So it was really cool to be on the Star Trek set. I mean, you cannot believe the sound studios, which are enormous, like a football field, they literally build a planet. I mean, I'm not kidding. The production value of Star Trek is amazing. And, all the costumes were custom made and the jewelry and a lot of thought into the hair and, what kind of prosthetic is this character going to have? I mean, it's really, really was amazing. And I'm very honored to say I'm a property on the Star Trek Next Gen Monopoly board.
I read that on your website.
So I would say to my mother, well, I don't have a star on Hollywood Boulevard, but I'm on the Next Gen Monopoly board.
Have you got one of the Monopoly boards?
I do. Yeah. I have one that me and my kids, we would play with, actually. Oh, I landed on Mom. And then I have one that has never been opened, and one day I'll sell it.
Yeah. They're probably going for crazy money these days, are they? Collectors.
I haven't researched it, but they're pretty hard to find.
Yeah. You could bring it into Pawn Stars.
Excuse me. Yes.
Yeah.
I'll get it, checked out, evaluated, before I put a price tag on it.
Yeah.
Anyone want one? Just, go to my Instagram, send me a message, send me a bid.
So we talked about the horror world, the sci-fi world. What that brings with it then is what I always ask the guests I have on is the convention world, which is it's a huge thing at the moment. Have you got to do many of them? And obviously, probably with the last year and a half, things have been scaled back. But is it something that's starting back up for you again?
Yes, it's been an avalanche of them this year. I did a few events last year, even during COVID, but they were outdoor events like drive-in theater. Where you watch.
Cool, yeah.
Do you have drive-in theaters?
We do actually, yeah. But
okay.
not very many.
Yeah, well, there's not a whole lot here too, but so I did get to do some things, some signings at like a toy store kind of thing, but rules and regulations were very strict. But this year, it's totally happening. Robert and I just did Steel City in Pennsylvania. It was amazing. Everyone was just so ready to do something other than stream on their computer and stay home, right?
Yeah, so I think there's definitely a hunger for people to get back out to whether it be going to concerts, whether it be going to conventions, or just to get back to doing what they enjoy.
Yep, exactly. Because the thing is, like, the fans, they've all met each other. They're all friends,
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, I can't wait to see you, at Steel City or whatever, and we've all lost, connections with our friends, because we've had to stay locked up, so it's amazing energy, seeing everyone happy to see each other again. And yeah, so anyway, we're getting through it, right? We're getting through it.
It must be really cool for all you guys that have worked together to be meeting up at these things in different places all over, like America and sometimes the world. Like,
yes, oh my gosh, we have a blast. You have no idea. And we Nightmare people, we are very friendly. You will definitely see us down at the bar or at the restaurant, hanging out, talking to everybody. We're not the type that just go up to my room kind of thing. No. We enjoy the entire experience, and we're great friends. I mean, Brooke Thies, Toy Newkirk, Tuesday Night, Danny. I mean, we're like, if they needed a kidney, I would donate my kidney. Not that they want my kidney, but anyway. We're super tight.
Yeah, there's a real tight connection I've noticed within the groups, whether it be yourselves or the people from Friday the 13th or Child's Play or anything like that. And it's really nice to see everyone hanging out outside of filming as well. But horror's got a crazy kind of connection with the fans. It's hard to describe unless you're into it. Like, there's some people that won't even know what a horror convention is, and they never will, But then there's us, and we know what it is and what it means. I think it's bizarre in a way.
It is. I can't put my finger on it, on why, maybe we just all love being terrified, and then it's fun to be together in support of each other. I don't know. But there is definitely something. It's not like there's, romantic comedy conventions. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
There's sci-fi conventions and there's horror conventions. Yeah.
In terms of yourself, then, have you any projects that you're working on at the moment or anything coming out that people might want to know about?
Oh my goodness, yes. In fact, a movie called Mystery Spot just premiered 3 weeks ago in London.
Oh wow!
And the festival, it's a huge festival. I want to call it Fright Fest Festival.
Yes. That's it.
Which had over like 60 films, premiere, big ones, medium size, all this. And so Mystery Spot premiered. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go, but we got amazing reviews. It's not horror. It's more like a Twilight Zone. That's what I would call it. Anyway, I was so happy. Some of the reviewers were saying, like, be sure to bring Kleenex. Anyway, I'm very, very proud of this film and love the character that I play, Rachel. Then I've already been filming this year a movie called Seasons, and I just did a movie called The House That Eats Flesh, and I play this fabulous, devious, Southern crazy woman. My character is Mother, April. Such a blast. You won't even recognize me. I've got like scars and an eye patch and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, as I'm getting older, I'm getting offered more of these fun, crazy kind of characters. So much fun. I'm going to be filming something called The Tea, which is an HBO Max show that Tuesday Night is also in, and Tamara Glenn is also in. Richie Ramone is also in. I'm doing the tiny bit in the last episode of the first season, and I'll be in the second season, which we'll start filming more next year. Doing a movie called Don't Suck in Las Vegas. And it takes place in Las Vegas, and think of stand-up comedians and vampires. There's just I was supposed to do 7 films last year. So slowly but surely, they're all getting, rescheduled this year and onto next year. So there's a lot coming out. You guys have to go to my website.
Yes, we're going to talk about. Funny enough, I had Richie Ramone on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. He's a really top bloke. I did.
Isn't he a blast?
I haven't put it out yet. I have to do a little bit of editing because his connection was a bit bad. So I need to kind of pull it together somewhat.
Yeah,
we may need to record it again.
Oh my gosh, we just did a show in wasn't Cincinnati, it was, trying to remember, Moline, Illinois. We did this really cool convention, and he was there, and Tamara Glenn, and oh my god, we had a blast.
He's going to be in the new Friday the 13th fan movie coming out.
Is
Bloodlines.
he?
Yeah.
Fascinating. Anyway, he's so cool. He is like the epitome of classic rock and roller.
Yeah, he's just a stand-up cool guy. Like if he walked into a bar, he would instantly be the coolest man there. 100%.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And he's so tall. Oh my gosh, I had no idea he was so tall.
Yeah. We'll talk a bit about your website. You got some really cool stuff on there, some cool, nice signed photos, some behind the scenes stuff. Do you want to tell people what's on the website?
I try to keep it updated as far as appearances that I'm doing. And the list of movies on there has definitely not been updated yet. I need to call my guy and say, gotta update that. But yeah, you can actually buy autographs. I have a new thing, these little mini nunchucks. Oh gosh, I should.
Yeah, I've seen them. You can get one if you want.
You can buy one. Yeah, it's. I don't know. I love pins and things like that. I mean, I have a vest too, full of pins and stuff like that. And I'm like, I need to do a pin, and I've done a couple, like Alice Lives pin. But then I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do mini nunchucks. So they're little mini nunchucks, and it says Alice the Dream Master on one side, and it's like the brown side, and the other side is just a striped red and green Freddy sweater. It has a little chain, and it's a magnet. It comes with an extra magnet, so you can actually wear it as a pin. I love Christmas ornaments too, and that's actually where the idea kind of came from, because you can hang it on a tree, but you can put it on your refrigerator, you can put it on your vest. So anyway, yeah.
Could be definitely something for the Christmas tree this year.
Well, right. It's a stocking stuffer.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I sell out of them at every convention I do. They sell out, because they're not very expensive, and they're so, I don't know, they're cute.
And different.
And different. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Lisa, it was an absolute pleasure to talk to you today, and hopefully we can catch up sometime in the future again when some of these movies hit.
Yes, indeed. There is, what can you, there's another movie called Bloody Man that Tuesday night, who reprised the role of Kristen in Nightmare 4, that we also did. The DVD is somewhat available, but they're still completing their distribution process. But all these films will have distribution. They'll have some theater release too. So I'll try to keep you guys posted on my website.
Lisa, thank you so much.
Thank you, Maurice. It was a blast. Ciao.
Thanks.